Welcome back to Learning Partner. So in this video, we are going to see another mini project idea, or you can call it as a machine test scenario also. So we are trying to build an app which will allow user to register their complaint. Admin user can see what are the complaints they have received. They can open it. They can change the status of the complaint and act accordingly like that. So you can see this is the login page. Here we are considering this as an application. So obviously user need to register it. So login and the registration page will be there. Only one page is there, which will trigger login and the registration form. So here is the login form. And if we click on the register, you get the registration form. Then once user logged in, he will log into the portal. Now for our application, there will be mainly two roles. First, let's say we will consider one role as an admin and one role will be normal user. Then user will land to the complaint page. Here, he will be able to create the complaint. This is the form. Once he create the complaint, all the complaint created by him, he will be able to see. Now this UI we will be using for admin and the normal user also. Normal user will see the complaints created by him, but the admin will be able to see complaints all created. He will able to see all the complaints created by all the users. So it's just an admin access. So with this application, we will have a role-based changes also you will be able to see, right? Now, about GitHub, the repository will be complaint app Angular 17. And in the same, whatever the UI we are seeing over here, this is already available in YouTube project template. And the folder name is complaint. So here you will be able to see all the UI with whatever I have created. Now let's talk about the API. So project API.zerasim.in, in this domain, you will be able to find the API. So only two controllers are here currently. So you have to use the complaint. Previous video, I have created a budget planner. So those are the APIs over here. After that, you get the complaint API. So from user registration, department creation, again, one department catches there. Department is like we will have a dependent dropdown. Let's say you have a parent department. Inside that, you will have a child department also. So if you select the parent department, you will have to call the department which is child of the particular selected department, like that. So here you can see this is the parent department add update API. Then we have child update add update basic APIs also there. Then we have some API related to complaint. And finally, at the start, we will have some dashboard API also. In dashboard, we will have two API. So first is like for admin, and for second will be for user. So based on the role, we will decide it. And this is get complaint status. I think this API will give you the statistic on complaint, status wise complaint, like in open state, how many complaints are there, closed state, on hold, like that. Just a statistic. So three APIs we will be using for dashboard. UI I have not created, but you can create it out. I will try to get the code and I will push it in. Now, so project will be with Angular 17. So I have created a basic project. If you are new, so first you need to install the Node.js, then you need to implement, then you need to install the Angular CLI. So if you are installing right now, you will by default get 17.3 version. After that, you need to open a command terminal, command prompt, any command prompt where you have to create the project. Then you have to type ng new, then project name. So this will create your project. Once you create the project, this is the basic folder structure you get. After creating project, I have installed Bootstrap and Fontaine. So you can see two libraries I have installed. After installing the Bootstrap and Fontaine, we need to provide the CSS, means particular location path of the CSS in Angular.json. So here you can see we have added the path of the CSS also. These are the two initial things I have kept ready. Now let's talk about the component. How many components we are going to need? So first is like we will say login. In the login only, we will have register and the login page. So here we will have register and login form. We are just toggling on. Then we will need new complaint component. Here we will have this form where user will be able to create the new complaint. Then we will need another component that will be complaint list. Now this component will be used by both the user, admin and the normal user also. Normal user we will consider, let's say consider as an employee. Let's say we normal employees, let's say we are creating an application for a particular company. where all the employees can register some complaint. Just we are assuming that scenario. So complaint list, then we will have one component that will be dashboard. Again, this component will be used by admin and the user also. Based on the role, we will call another API. Correct. So these are the components we are going to need. Again, so if user is not logged in, we have to show the login page. So for if the user is not logged in, we will have app component as our parent component. But once user logged in, we need to show this bottom navbar also. Correct. So for that, we will create a home component or layout where we will have our navbar. We don't have a navbar, but we have some bottom kind of like a footer. Here we will consider this as a navbar. So we will have layout over here. So these are the components we are going to need. So let's go to our component. Now in app folder, either you can create components in the app folder also, but just to separate out, we will create one folder. Let's call it as a pages. And inside these pages, we will create our component. Right click on new terminal. So here we are going to create components, ng generate. Either you can write the whole generate, then C, you can write component also, then your component name, login. Now, those who are aware about the previous version. So in previous version, we used to have app module, but now we have app config. We don't have app module. So all components are by default standalone. So after layout, let me just create all the components. So I have created all the component. One component we forgot, that is department, because we have to create the department also. Na? In admin login, we will have a page where he can create multiple departments, child department, like that. So these are the components we have created. After component creation, obviously next thing is we have to create the route. So we have app route.ts. So previously it was a module, but now it's just a file where we have array of routes. So now first route will be default route. So path will be empty. So if we don't have anything in the URL, so this default route will be activated. Path : empty, then redirect to, why it is not coming? Just give it a time. Redirect to, let's say we will redirect to login. If we don't have anything, that path match strategy with full value. So this is my default route. In all the application, we need to have some default route. If we hit any domain and if we don't set the default component, what it is going to load. So we need to specify, like if someone hits my application, what is the default page I want to display him. So that is nothing but, so in case of this is an admin kind of application. So obviously we show the login page. After that, we need to create our routes which are responsible. So again, an empty route I'm creating. Component will be layout, because if user is not logged in, then first we will need to create the login. Here also login. So outside only two routes will be there. Default route, and if it is default, if we don't have it in the URL, it will redirect to login page, login route, and a login component will render. Then once user logged in, he need to have a feel like he is logged in, he is seeing navbar and everything. So for that, after login, our layout component will be our parent component. So here again, route I'm keeping at empty. Component will be my layout component. And all the component which are going to be accessible once user logged in, we will have children to this particular parent route. So all the component which are going to be accessible after login, those routes we have to create inside children. So let me just create path. Let's say dashboard. And component will be dashboard component. Just like this, we have to create the remaining routes also. Remember in the children. So here you can see I have created remaining routes, that is dashboard, new complete complaint list, and the department. Now our routing part is done. So just remember, just like this structure should be there when it in case of admin application. If it is your website, now you don't need like this, because in app component you will have the navbar and everything, so you won't need structure like this. But if it is your admin application, admin kind of application is there now, so this is the URL structure you should have. Now if we run the application will run by default 4200. We have to change the port. Let me just run on the different port. API will give you response on the particular 4209 only. So make sure you run the application on 4209. Otherwise, you won't get the API response. You will get the course error 4209. That's not compiled. Yeah, it's compiled. Let's reload one more time. So we created new project, correct? So by default, this page will come because in the app component, we will have this HTML. So let's get rid of that. As we discussed, if we don't have anything, our login component should load. So we will just have a router outlet. Let's save. Why something is not correct? Let's see why. In the body app root, router outlet is empty. Why router outlet is empty? Let's save and check. Let's save all. Yeah, so here you can see by default login component is working. If I remove here, now currently we don't have anything over here. But if I enter, by default it will navigate to the login component because that's what the purpose of default route. So our default route is done. Now let's just copy paste the UI whatever we have created. So this is new template, sorry, new complaint UI. Let's copy this. Let's paste it into the new complaint HTML. We will need the CSS also. So let's just get the CSS and CSS we will put it into our common section. That is common style. So that will be style.css over here. So this file you can use it if some classes are there which you are going to use across all the pages. So you can use this file to keep the common classes. That's done. Then we have to get the list. So list one, let's copy this section. In the complaint list HTML, I will put it. Then we just need the login one also. Okay, here are some again CSS are there. Let's copy. Then just the login part is remaining. So let's get the login also. So this is the section. Let's copy. Do we have any CSS in the login? No, same CSS. So let's close this project now. We don't need it. Now, if let's try to save and let's check if login page is coming properly. Okay, some error is there. Let's see what is the error. So in new complaint, p tag is not closed, I think. Line number 50. So let's go to line number 50. P tag is here. It is closed, but why it is saying not close? This is p tag starting. Inside p tag, we have put h3, so it's giving error. Why? But let's try again. H3. Let's move this. Still, it is giving it's very strange because we have a p tag inside that h3. H3 is also closed. Unexpected closing tab have already been closed. No, it's not already been closed. Why it is saying like this? Strange. Let's get rid of this. This class, I will put it on the h3. Not sure why it is happening like this. Oh, line number 50, we were doing on line number 10. No, here also we are getting the same. Okay, this is the same, I think. Now where it is saying, where this P3 is there. Oh, login. Why everywhere it is giving error? Let me just check up properly. Okay, so I don't know the issue. Like inside P tag, we were not able to render any tag. So what I did, remove just the P tag and put the H2 only. In HTML, I will just make the correction also so that you will not face the issue. Now, so here you can see if we let's save, yeah, it is already saved. So here it is something showing like this. So login form is also visible, register form is also visible. But here it was like behaving like this because on click of it, I was just hiding and showing this. Now same thing we have to do it over here also. Now let's just close everything. Now we will start from the login component, login HTML. Now here you can see this was the JavaScript code I had written. Now we just have to change this with our normal click event. Now on click of it, we will create this function show register. Let's create this, and in login in register form, we will have this function click and this show login. So let's create this function as well. Now what we have to do once we click on anywhere, we need to hide the login form. If login form is there, again register form will be visible. Just the hide and show we have to do. So for that, what we will do, we will create a variable. So let's say is login form visible boolean is equal to, let's initialize with false or let's initialize with true. So by default login form we will be able to show. Now so if you are a fresher, now make sure you are creating variables also properly with proper name, because this in this variable we are going to store the boolean value. So boolean value will normally start with variable name, we normally start with is boolean. Now in case of this function show register, we have to make it, if we are saying false over here, and in case of login, just that same variable we will make it to true again. Correct. Now this variable is going to decide like login form is visible or the registration form is visible. So this we will use it over here. Let me show you. See, here we have two forms. First is the login form and second is the register form. Now earlier in the in previous what do we say, previous versions, what we used to have is, what do I say? We used to have ngif directive. Ngif directive was responsible to add or remove element from the DOM. But if you have to use the ngif directive, let me just try that. So star ngif equal to this variable. So here you can see it is giving us some warning that import common module. So if we have to use any structural directive, we have to import common module. This is the new thing in Angular 17. But instead of this, because ultimately why we should how we should increase the code of our component.ts now. So let's remove this. Now in Angular 17 we have control flow statement. So rather than writing like this, we can write at the rate if also, just like normal if statement, just like that also you can write. And what we need, if this variable is true, so this will go over here. This is nothing but equivalent to true. Either you can write this or this is also pretty enough. If this variable is true, then we have to display this form. So this form will move inside over here. So ngif we used to add a particular element, and in else we will have the register form. So this will go over here. That's it. So let's just save all and check it if it is working properly. Now here you can see by default login page is visible. If we click on register, no, on click of register, I think anchor tag is there. Something is not correct. Where it is, yeah, href is there now. Let's remove that. Because of that, page reload was happening. Here also it is there. Let's try now. So if we click on register, you can, oh, still it is getting. Let's remove the href altogether. This also we need to remove. Let's save again and let's check one more time. So if we click on register, register form is visible. In case of register, we have login button, login label over here. If we click on login, you can see login forms. So we can navigate back and forth now. So let's check the register first. First, we will register. So add new user. This is the API which allows us to register to this application. Now, here you can see role. We have a role field also. So role by default, we don't have any field over here in as a role. But from object only, when we create the object, by default, we will send employee. Correct? So now we have to move to the API call. So in older version, if you have to make the API call, we used to add the HTTP client module in our app module. But now we don't have app module. Correct? So, but just a replacement of app module is something app config. So here provider is there. So inside provider, you have an array over here. You can add provide HTTP client. That is equivalent to provide HTTP client module. So why it is suggesting like this? It's not suggesting provide HTTP client. No, that's something I didn't write. HTTP. Why it's not coming? Provide HTTP. It's not coming. Why it's not coming? Let me just check because this is Angular 17.3. So in 17.3, I think they have removed because in 17.0, provide HTTP client was there. But I think in 17.3, they have removed. So let me just check one more time. It's the same, just let me just add this. Now you can see the import it was not suggesting now, so I also got confused. That's it. So the make sure you are adding also import for the first time Angular / comma / HTTP, then you can import it. So whatever you used to do in app module, provide HTTP client module. After that only we used to make the we used to create the object of HTTP client, right? So just like that, you need to import. Now you need in the provider section you need to add a provide HTTP client. So let's just save. Now, either from your component also you can make the API call, or the ideal way is you should create a service. So in app folder, I will create a folder service, and inside this service, I'm writing spelling mistake, just like. Now in this folder, what I will do, I will create a service. So only either this is a very small project. So either you can create a whole one service, and in that single service only you can create all the function, or you can create multiple service also to separate. Based on you, you can do anything. But if it is a major project, now always we create service according to the module. Now, so here I will do ng generate service. You can use the long form service also, or shortcut also is fine. So I will create a master service. In the single service only, I will put all my API call function. So let it create. So here you can see master service is created. Now, in master service, we are going to make the API call. So here, what normally we used to do. So private HTTP :HTTP client object we created. This is what dependency injection, what we know from the previous version. We have something new from 16, that is inject. So we will see that in the component. Here we will keep the older thing only. Now here we have to write our API call, that will be login. So on login, just a function name I am giving this, sorry, whatever from this function we are going to make the API call, whatever the response we are going to get, that we are going to return. So this dot HTTP dot get, sorry, post API call is going to be there. So if we see the Swagger, here you can see for login and the add user, we have the post API. So instead of login, let's just complete the login also. Now, let me just show you the login URL, how it is going to be. So this is going to be my URL. So if you see, let's just copy. Over here also we have this. Let's try the register one also. So everywhere you can see up to this will be common. Just my method name is going to change because this is the single API, right? It is hosted on the single domain. So this part will be common. Only the method name is going to change. So this common part, I will put it in a variable. Let's say API URL. colon string is equal to single quotes value. Now this I will use it over here and I will concatenate. So this dot API URL plus then my login. Now this is the post API. So post API required two things, URL and the object. Only URL we have sent. Second object also we need to send. So from component we are going to call this function. So from component we are going to send the object. So object we will keep it as any, and whatever the object we received that we will pass it over in. So now you can see error is gone. Just like on login, let me just create the register also. On register instead of this. Now this is the normal concatenation what you know. Now in AS6 we have a feature that is template literal. So let's try to use that. So that is like this. So here you can use the backtick sign and you can add dollar curly bracket, and inside this you can use the variable. Then the register part. Register is what? Add user. Make sure you are passing the same URL, whatever is there in the Swagger. This is the URL. Then obj, sorry, inside this obj second object. So in service, we have created login and the register functions. Now, in our component, that is login component, we have to create the instance of this service. So this is the old way how we used to create the instance of any service, injectable service. Now from Angular 16, the new way is you can make use of the inject. So here you can see master service is equal to inject. And what you need to pass? The object name of that service, master service. So this is equivalent to what we used to create in the constructor. This is the new thing which we have got from Angular 16 only. This is not the Angular 17 feature. It is available from Angular 16 only. Correct? Now, so first like register form we will create. So we need the register form. So this is the object which we want to send to the register form. So let's copy this. Now those who know how you create the class and interface, you can create that. But just we have so many things to cover. So I'm skipping that. There is already I have created videos where I have explained that. So you can just watch it. Now here register obj colon any. Now I'm creating object with any. Instead of if you create the class or the interface, you need to provide that name over here. Let's initialize with empty one. Correct. Created date, we will initialize to new date. So that is new date. Now, so register object we have created. Now, let's say this register object we have to bind to our form. This is the register form. This is the login one. This is the register form. We need to bind it. Whatever the object we have created, that fields we need to bind it. How do we bind it? By using form module. So if you understand, if you know the previous version, if you have to use the form module, we used to add the forms module. But now we don't have app module. But in the component itself, we have the import statement. So here, whatever the module you are going to need, you can import it over here. So forms module. Again, it's not suggesting. So let's just add the import first. Angular / forms. Forms module. Previously, it used to suggest, but I'm not sure why it is not suggesting. Correct. So now forms module we have added, then you can make use of the ng model. Now this is the form. Now since again you can see all the input element are inside the form tag. Whenever you are using input element inside the form tag and you are going to use the ng model, name attribute also get mandatory. Correct. So make sure you add the name attribute also. So name is equal to, and then we need ng model, square bracket ng model equal to. Now what we need to bind? Register object, then dot. Now this thing I will just copy paste first. Username and for the password. Now I just have to change the field names. So username, where it is the username, where we have enter email full name. Yeah, this is the username. Username and name property also we will put the same. Then we have full name, Then we have email ID. This will be normal text. And the password, last thing. Remaining things will be by default. So we have created the object. That object we have bind to our form. Now on click of register, we need to call our function. So click on register. Now this function we have to create in our login component. So let's create that. Now from this function, we are going to make the API call. So this dot master service, the object which we have created at the top, dot. In master service, we have created two functions, on login and on register. So we have to make use of on register. On register need the object. So this dot register object we need to send dot subscribe result colon any. Now all my APIs are going to return some proper data. So here you can see this is the object you will you will get it from all my API response. So result is the property which you need to check. So if result property is true, then you will get to know like API is successful. If result property is false, in the message property, you will get the error just like this. Right. So here you need to add the check. So if res dot result is true, you can say alert and registration success, just like any message you want to show. But now in else, you need to display the message, whatever you get from the API. So res dot message. So this is from result mean whatever the response you get, we are comparing. If result is true, we are showing the alert message. Otherwise, we are showing the message, error message, whatever we get from the API side. Now let's just add a debugger and let's just test everything. Make sure whenever you are debugging for the, whenever you are writing for the first time, always add a debugger, see what data you are getting, how every function you are, the calling process and execution process you need to understand at the initial level. Now, let's try to inspect. What is the debugger doing over here? Let's continue. Now let's try to register. Let's check the existing data. Where it is get all user, how many records are there exactly. So again, APIs are free, so you might be getting the records which you might not have created. Someone else might have created it. So, oh my God, so many records are there. So user ID is 13. This is the last record. So let's try to check our, let's try to create our record now. The name will be, let's say Adam. This is the full name, email address. Okay. .com. Full name, let's say Adam. Now username, let's say Adam only I'm user, Adam only a username I'm considering 223344. This is the password. Now let's try to debug. So on click of register, our function should get called. Correct? Now here you can see register object. You can see or whatever the data. Oh, we missed the rule. But I think on the API side, I have hard coded that. Let's just check it. So here you can see whatever the data we filled in the form that we have got in the object. Now let's continue. From the component, we are calling the service function. And while calling, we are passing the object also. So if we continue, here you can see in the parameter, we have got the object. And from here, actually, we are making the API call. So if we continue, so here you can see we have got the response. Result property, we have got it true. In data, here you can see role we have, while sending the object, we didn't send the role, but from API side, I have hard coded this. So you will get the employer role only. And the user ID 34 we have got, means user is created successfully. Registration success message we have got. Let's try to execute this API again. Now we should be able to see our user. So here you can see the user which we have created is inserted into the database. Now let's check the login API. So for login API, we just need two parameters. So let's just copy. Again, the same thing in the login component, just like register object, we have to create login object, colon any. Let's initialize this with empty. Just like this function, we are going to need login function. So let's just copy login Instead of on register, we have to call on login function, and we need to, instead of register, we need to pass the login object. That's it. Login success. We normally don't show the alert because it's very irritating. Unless it is an error or something proper operation is there, we should be show the alert box. Now, once user logged in, we need to navigate it also, because this is a login page. Once user logged in, he should navigate to some another page. So for now, we will navigate to the dashboard page. Now from component, we have to navigate. So we have to create another service that will be router. So let's just copy router, again inject. What we need to inject? The router. So router, this router. Now we have to navigate. So here, this dot router dot navigate by URL, and we have to pass the URL also. URL is what we have created, that is dashboard. So once user logged in, we are by default logging to the redirecting to the dashboard page. So this is what we have done. But since it is an client side application, the user is logged in, but whatever the logged in user is there, that we need to store somewhere. Like currently which user is logged in, that data we need to store it somewhere. So we can use local storage, session storage, or cookies also. Or you can store the data into service variable also. Any medium you can use, but we will use local storage dot set item. To store the data, we have to make use of the set item. Key value pair data. So key will be, let's say, complaint user, just the key name I'm giving. Then local storage, you can see here value we are getting string. So we can store only string type of data. So in the login API, we get the complete object, whatever the user we provide, complete user object we will get. But we, while storing into the local storage, we have to convert it back to the string format. So JSON dot stringify, and we need to pass the data which we will get it from in the object, that is result.data. In the data property, you will get the data. Before navigating, we should do this. So first thing, this, right? So let's just try to do this. Now this function we have, one more thing, we have just created the object. We have to bind this to the login form also, no? Just like we have did over here. Let's copy this. This is our login form. So first text box, second text box. Let's just copy paste. This is a login object. What we need to bind? Only username and the password. So username and the password. Now on click of login, where it is login? Yeah, here. So on click of login, we are going to call that function. So login function. Let's just add, let's just save everything. Just like this. Over here also, I will add the debugger. Just in the initial page, I will be showing the debugging and everything. Once we move to the next page, we will skip that. Now, so the credential where username, I have put it as Adam, and the password was 223344. Let's just try pass the wrong password. So we should see the error. Now on click of login, see the login object, we got the data. So here you can, no, something is, yeah. Why email ID is there? Something is wrong. Why we bind the email ID? Password should be there, no? Let's copy paste. Let's save. So Adam, let's just enter the wrong password. On click of login, now you will be able to see the correct, see username and the password. Password, we are sending the wrong one. Okay, continue. Whatever the object we passed, we got that. API call. Then in the response, you can see result property, we got it false. And in the message, you got username and password is wrong. Correct? Now let's try the correct password, 223344. Login. Continue. So now here you can see result property got true, and in the data you get the actual data. See, complete data you got. And that if result property is true, we are storing the data into the local storage. and we are navigating to the dashboard. So see in the URL, we get the dashboard. Currently nothing will be visible, but we will do it now. So let me show you the logged in data. So we have stored the data into the local storage. So here you can see complaint user and whatever the data we have stored, that is visible over here. It's look like an object, but it is in the string format because while storing, we have used JSON.stringify. So our login component work is done. Let's move to the next part. Now, if you see the application, this, what do we say? This the footer is what we are going to consider as a navbar, correct? So this part we will keep it in our, what do we say, layout component. So layout component is kind of, it will act as a parent component once we log in. So let's just get that footer from any page. Where is that footer? Let me just get the whole thing. I will put it over here. Let's just remove the first section. Container is there, right? So whatever we have in the container, let's just remove that. Now this is our footer. And here we will have router outlet. So router outlet is a directive which is responsible to render the activated route component. So here we will have router outlet. Now this is giving error. So again, the Angular 17 rule, whatever you use, you need to import that. So in over here, we need to import router outlet like this. So now you can see error is gone. Let's just save. Now from in all my component, we used to have that card, right? So this I can remove now. And this section also I will remove. And this also. Let's just save. Complaint also same thing I have to do. So let's just save all and let's check it if we are able to see the properly navbar. So here you can see navbar, the whatever the footer we decided as a navbar, it is at the bottom, and here you can see dashboard component. Let's try to use the another routes also, or here we should have the navigation, right? New complaint and the complaint list and everything. So in navbar, here we have this. So let's just copy paste. So we are going to have three routes. So first route will be, let's say, new complaint, then complaint list. And third route will be, okay, one more like dashboard will be there. So let's create dashboard. And last will be for department creation. Now this department will be only visible to the admin only. So that we will do. But before that, first we need to add the navigation. So in Angular, if we have to navigate, we have to make use of the router link. So router link is equal to double quote slash, whatever the route name we have to give. But again, rule codes, right? If we have to use the router outlet, we have imported that. If we have to use the router link also, now still you need to import that also. Router link, correct? So whatever you use, you need to import that. Earlier it was available globally. That's why Angular team is reducing its overhead. If you are using something, you can import it and use it. It's not available everywhere now. So this is for dashboard. So let's just open the routing file and let's add the navigation first. Here it will be dashboard. Let's just copy paste. Then we have new complaint. Let's copy. This is new complaint. Then complaint list and the department. Let's just save on and let's see if we are able to navigate properly. So if we click on new complaint, Here we can see we are navigating to the new complaint. If we click on complaint list, see department, again dashboard. So on click of these buttons, we are able to successfully navigate to the different route. Correct? So login part is done. One more thing is, if user is logged in, here we need to show the logged in username. So that we can do in the login component, because this is in the login component. So how we know that user is logged in? If in the locus, because while logging in, we are storing the data into the local storage. So if we have the data into the local storage, we will get to know that user is logged in. So we need to read the data. So constructor, now on the page load, we need to read the local storage data. So constant local data, local storage dot get item. To read the local storage data, we have the method get item. So let's check the login. In what key we have stored? That is complaint user. So remember, while storing the data, we have converted the data into the string format. But if we have to again read it, we need to convert it back to the object format also. So here you need to add the null check. Whenever you are reading the data from the local storage, you need to add the null check, not equal to null. Then we will create one variable where we will store the logged user data. Logged user data, colon any. Now, while assigning this to this variable, we need to convert it back. While converting, we have used the JSON.stringify. Now to convert it back, we have to make use of the parse method. And this local data, we need to pass it over here like that. Now this will be undefined by default. So if it is undefined, means user is not logged in. If it is not undefined, we have to show the logged in user. So this, let me just copy paste, because if user is logged in, we will show the logged in username. But if user is we have to show the logout button as well. So here, sorry. Now this variable, we have to use it over here with question mark dot. And what is the data we have? Let's just find out in the local storage. Username is the field name, which we will be using to showcase like this. And once user is logged in data is visible over here. Let's just remove this href and this also. And here we will have log off button. So let's just get the log off button. Here we will have log off. Now while log off, if user clicked on log, if user is logged in, he should be able to log off also. No? So we will create a function over here on log off. On log off, what we have to do? First, we have to navigate to the login page, obviously. But while navigating, we need to clear the local storage also. So this local storage we need to create. Remove item. Just the particular key we need to remove. Then again, we have to navigate back to the login page. So router service we have to create is equal to inject. And we have to pass router now. We are hovering. And this dot router dot navigate by URL, and we need to pass the login over here /login. So let's just test everything if we are able to see the logged in username and if we are able to log off also. Correct? So here you can see Adam is visible. If we click on the log off, we are again coming back to over here. Let's check the local storage also. It should be cleared. Let's just verify. So here you can see local storage, we don't have anything. Let's try again. 223344. So login is visible. Now, so dashboard part we will see at the end. First, we will start with the new complaint. And again, like this department button should not be visible if the logged in username is employee. So currently you can see logged in user Adam is nothing but an employee, right? So he registered from our login page. So if role is not employee, means if I will create one user who will have the admin access, I will provide it in the video description also. That will, because admin will have only one role will be, only one employee will be there. We will have the admin role. So role check we have to add. So this department button should be visible if the role is admin only. So this is the department. So star ng if, sorry, my bad. we have to use @if. Now logged in user role equal to if role is admin, then only we need to showcase this department button. So let's copy this and let's put it over here. Now currently role is what employee, so that department link should not be visible. So here you can see it is not visible now. So first thing, we will try the new complaint. Now let's check the new complaint. So what do we say? Okay, department APIs are here. Let me show you the data already is there. So I have some data inserted. So here you can see I have created two departments, sales and the marketing. Now, as we discussed, like dependent drop downs is there. If we create this, let's for the sale. So sale department ID is one. Now let's check get all department, child department also. So here you can see. So here you can see in parent department ID one, we have two records. So what was the parent department? Let me just open it again. So in sales, that is having parent department ID is one. So in sales department, we have two children department, lead generation and the inquiry handler. Again, second department was marketing. In marketing, we just have one, that is Facebook advertisement. Let's create one more one. So child department ID is two. So this will be add new department. No, add child department. Yeah, add child department is the API. So parent department ID is two. Let's say news paper advertise. Just the department name we are creating. You can create something. Then again, let's say Insta ADVT. Now in marketing, we have three departments. So if we see get all execute. So here you can see in marketing, we have three departments now, but in sales, we just have two. So, correct. So in department, let me just close these pages now. Now here we have two drop down. So first drop down is responsible to show the parent drop down. Once we select any, we need to get the children department of this. Okay. So that is the next part we have to do. So on the page load of this component, first we need to get all the parent departments. So let's check the API for that. So we have this API that is get parent department. Let's try to execute. So if we execute, you can see only two departments are there which are parent. So this is the API call. So let's copy this. Now we are creating everything in the service API call functions. So now this will be get API. So get parent department return this .http .get method. Get method needs just a URL. So dollar curly bracket this .api URL. After that, my method name. That's it. Correct. So our service part is done. Let's just close everything. Now we just need to focus on the complaint component. Now on the page load, we need to make that API call. So here on init, we will implement. Once we implement, we need to write implements on init. Once we do that, it will ask us to create the ng on init function. Let's create another function load parent department. We have to create the instance of our service. So master service is equal to inject method we will use to create the service object master service. Again here, this dot master service dot get parent department. This is the function which we want to trigger. From this function, we are going to get the observable data. So obviously we can subscribe to it. So subscribe round bracket colon any. Now this is a success call. If API call is success, this will execute, subscribe will execute. But if there is any error, so when we can write the error block also like this. So if any error is if we got any error from the API call, this error block will execute. So make sure if you are appearing for the interview, whenever you are writing the subscribe call, make sure you write like this. Again, if you know the how you use the in ng on disk drive, we have to unsubscribe this also. If you know that, you can use that also. But just I'm keeping the video very plain and basic, so that's why I'm not doing that. In one component, we will try that at least. Now, so whatever the data we will get, that we need to store it also. So parent department list. It's going to be array of objects, so any square bracket empty. Whatever the data we get, we will store it into this variable. Variable is equal to res.data. Correct? Just like this. Now let's first bind this. Whatever the data we get, and this function we have to trigger on the function call. Like this. Correct? Now, whatever the data we get, that we are going to store it over here. So now this we have to bind it to our first drop down, that is this. So this select will be static. After that, we need to use for loop. So in the previous version, we used to create the dynamic element by using ng-for. But now, if you have to use that, you need to import the common module. So to avoid that, we have control flow statement, so we can use that. So just like the normal for loop, we have like this, and the option will go inside over here. So here, value we have to bind because we are binding array of objects. So item dot, what is it? What we are getting? Department ID we have to bind as a value. And instead of over here, while showing, we need to show the department name. So those who are fresher, this is like if you have a string data type, value option doesn't matter. But if you are getting an array of object, let's say employee ID, employee name, product ID, product name. So just like this, department ID you need to bind as a value because that's what we have to send to the API. And here you can show the department name. So this department name will go over here. Let's just save and check till now if we are able to get the parent department. Yes, so here you can see we are getting the parent department. Now, next thing is like the other dropdown is a dependent one. If you select sales, we get to the children of the sales. If you select marketing, we will get the children of marketing. So now we have another API. So that API is get child department by parent ID. So this API call we need to make. Just try it. So here you can see if we send the sale, we are getting two more department. So this is the method name with parameter. So let's go to service and let's create another one. Let's just copy paste. This will be our function name. And over here, this will go over here. Just this function will need the parameter because from the component, we will be sending the parent category ID that we need to pass it. ID colon number. And instead of this one, we can pass ID. So our URL will be dynamic. Now, we have created a function. Now on drop down change, so we have to call a function. So here on select option, I'm writing a change event, get child department. Let's create this function in our component. Again, in this function also same code will be there. But now we need the selected ID also, right? But we didn't bind everything with the object. So let's first do that. Because unless we bind the object, we won't get the ID, no selected ID. So this is the object, create new object. So let's create template object. Let's copy this. Let's create the object complaint obj colon any equal to. Let's replace this with empty and created date. We will initialize with new date. Now we need to bind this object to our form. But before binding, we need to add the forms module also. So now this object, we need to bind it to all the elements. So here, square bracket, round bracket, ng model, complete object dot. So this will be common to all the elements. So I'm just copy pasting it first. Here also we need it. And here also we need it. That's it. So let's bind the field also now. So first, some things are going to be, let's say complaint ID will be 0. User ID we have to read from the local storage, created it by default. Child department we need to send. So, and over here we will bind child department ID. I will come to this. Here we won't bind the object. We just need a local variable because this parent department ID we don't have in the we don't in the object we don't have parent department ID. That drop down work is just to get the child department. So parent department ID number, let's initialize to 0, and this we will bind it over here. That's it. Let's bind the remaining things also. This is for complaint title. So this is the complaint title. Then we have complaint details. A text area will be there like this. Then we have checkbox that is complaint already reported for this. So this is the flag. So by default, it should be false. And the last one is complaint number. If it is already registered, we can pass the complaint number. Complaint number, you can see complaint number is there, this complaint number, but this you don't have to bind it in the form because this is automatically generated from the API side. That's it. And complaint status ID. Oh, yeah. This also you don't need to send it. From API side, I'm assigning whenever a new complaint is created. So the by default status, like new status will be assigned from the API side. So you don't need to send it. That's it. Yeah. So now once we change the drop down in this, we have binded this drop down with this ID. So here the function name will be get child department, and we need to pass the ID. To that drop down, we have binded this dot parent department ID. Just like this, we need to create one more variable to hold the child department list colon any square bracket is equal to empty. This will go over here. And just like the for loop over here, we will need the for loop over here also. But instead of parent department list, we have to bind the child department list like this. And here, let's see what data we are getting. ID will be different something, child ID or something is there. Yeah. So child department ID is there. So this you need to bind it over here, and department will be same. So let's just check if we are able to get the proper selection drop down. Now, if we select the sales, here you can see lead generation and inquiry handler is coming. If we select the marketing, another, let me show you the network tab also. So let's say sales. So you can see department ID 1 is going. So we get this 2 department. If we say in marketing, department ID 2 is going. So whatever the department ID we select, that is going to with the API call, and we are getting the child department. That only we are displaying it over here. Correct? Now, so our first part was done. Now, next thing is this checkbox should be by default false. And if we check this, what do we say, text box should be visible once, or it should be disabled or anything, hide or show also we can do. If this checkbox is true, then only we need to show this. So condition, we will write it in the HTML only. This was by default true, so let's make it false. So now this is the value which we need to add it over here. So again, inside this at the if condition we will use. If this variable is true, then only we need to render this div. Let's just test this also. If we check, then only it is visible. Now, so on click of create, we need to make our API call. So let's check the API method name also. Create complaint. Let's just get that. So in the service, we need to add it. Just this is going to be post API. So I'm just copy pasting the old code. Right? Nothing else change. Just the method name and the property. Now, we have this create button. On this button click, we are going to make the API call. So right click on save. Let's create this function in our component. Just like this API call will be there. So let me just copy paste. Instead of this, create new complaint. And here we have to send the object, complaint object that we have binded to the form. And we don't need the data. Here we need to write the if else check. If result property is true, we will know that ticket complaint got raised, complaint created, success, or in else we will show the error message. Alert result dot message. In this property, you will get the error. Just add a debugger also. Yeah, one more thing is remaining. So user ID, whatever the logged in user ID is there, that ID need to send, no? Because how admin will know like who has raised this complaint. So we need to make sure like we need to send the user ID also. So in page load on ng on init, I will read the local storage data. So we have already done that in the layout component, just like that. We will copy paste. So this is the code. Let's put it over here. And what we need, just the user ID. So complaint object dot user ID. So here we are going to parse everything from that object. We are going to need user ID. That's it. So in our object, user ID, we are sending it from the local storage, created date, by default date, child department, we are sending. Complaint ID, we don't have to send because from API side, we are going to get. Complaint number, it also you don't need to send. From API side, it is getting generated. So let's just save all and let's try it now. So let's check it now. Let's open the network tab also. So let's select sales. Let's select lead transaction. Let's say some title, just let's say not getting daily reports. Some complaint name we are providing. Just the description. Now on click of create. So here you can see complete object we have got. User ID also there, which is from local storage. Now let's add a debugger and let's continue. Continue. Yeah, so see here we have got true. So means complaint is created successfully. Let's check the API also. If complaint is get all complaint API, write out, execute. So where not getting reports. So see, this is the report. This is the complaint which we have created. So it is successfully inserted. And complaint number is also there. See, it is automatically created. And the complaint status is by default new. So that's why I said like you don't need to send the complaint status ID and the ticket number, complaint number. It is automatically created from the API. So now complaint creation is done. Next part is in complaint list, we need to show the complaint list also. Now the normal employee is logged in. So we need to get the complaints created by him only, correct? If admin is logged in, then we need to call this API. Get all complaint will API call we need to make if logged in employees, if logged in user is admin. But if logged in user is normal employee, so we need to create this. We need to call this API. Get complaints created by user ID. And here you need to pass the logged in user ID. So that we will do in the next. So the work of this component is done. So let's close it. Now we have to move to the comment list, complaint list. Now, so as we decided on the page load, if the role is admin, then we are going to call this API, that is get all complaint. But if the role is employee, we are going to call this API, that is get complaints created by user ID. So let's start. First, on ng on init, let's write the on init event also. On init implements on init. ng on init. Now we need to read the local storage data also, like the logged in user. So let's get this. Or let's put it over here. Let's create that variable also, logged user data. We will store the logged user data into this variable. Now, so in service, we need to create two API call component. first call get all complaint and then get all complaint by user ID. This is the API. First check the API call, that is get all complaint. So this is the method name. This we will put it over here. So this will be get all complaints. Second one is get all complaint by user ID. Let's just get the API URL. This is the API URL. Let's copy. Now it will go over here like this. So we have created two functions, get all complaint and the get all complaint by user ID. Now, so here in ng on init, we will first create the function also, get all complaints. Again, the same thing, master service object, we have to create master service colon, sorry, equal to inject master service. Then here, this dot master service dot get all complaints. The first API call, it doesn't require any parameter. Showing parameter, let's check why it is showing. Yeah, we don't need this, so let's remove it. Now, whatever the data we get, that we need to store it. Now, complaint list, only one variable we will create. Any square bracket is equal to empty. Whatever the data we get, we will store into this variable. So this dot complaint list is equal to res dot data. Now, just like this, we will need another API call, which will be get all complaints by user ID. Get all complaints. Get complaints created by user ID. This is the function. And this for this function, we are going to need the parameter. So ID colon number. And this ID we will pass it over here. Now you can see we have two functions, get all complaint and get all complaint by ID. So once the page load, ng on it will trigger. Here we will get the data, and here we will write the role check. If this dot log user data dot role is equal to admin. If it is admin, we are going to call this function. I have created an admin user. Everything is password and everything is will be admin. And if not, we will call this function. And we need to pass the user ID also. So user ID, we will get it from this variable only. So this dot user ID. Let's just add a debugger over here and let's check where the control flows. Let's save and check. Let's reload. So where it is layout component. No, we don't need debugger over here. Right now you can see complaint list component loaded. Now here we are trying to check the user. So online logged in user data role is employee. It's not equal to admin. So it will go to the else block. And in logged in user data, we have the user ID also. So likewise, this function will get called, and whatever the data we will get it. Let's see that. So in result.data, we have got only one complaint because for this user, we have just created one complaint only. So that you are getting. Now let's try to log in with the admin. Log off. So admin user ID is admin and password is also admin. So only one user is there for the admin. Now if we land to the complaint list, so now here you can see our logged in user data role is admin, correct? So if role is admin, we are calling get all complaint. So this is how we are by role check, we are getting the data. So here you can see all four complaint we have. Now, whatever the data we have getting, doesn't matter it is a normal user or the admin, we are storing the data into complaint list. Now we will use this to iterate. So this was a call 3. Let's remove the static one and let's make it dynamic. Let me just remove this. Now we will use ng for, sorry, instead of ng for, we will use for loop. Here we have to put this variable. Wait, complaint list will go over here. And this call 3 will go inside over here. Now, so here we will show the information. The image I have just added, we don't need an image, but let's say in the user, I will try to put a low image upload also. So there you can use the image. Now here, item dot, here we have to show the title, complaint title. So let's check in which variable we are getting the title. So that is complaint title we will showcase over here. Then here we have to show the description, whatever the complaint description it is. Item dot complaint description, where it is complaint title. Yeah, complaint details. Then here we have to show on which date this complaint was created. So item dot created date. So this is the default date we are sending. Here we can add the date pipe. So date dd hyphen mmm hyphen yy. So if we have to use the date pipe, we need to import it. So again, as the rule goes, whatever you use, you need to import that, just like this. And here we have to show the, yeah, so this we will see it later because on click of open, we have to open the particular complaint details. So let's just save and check. That's taking time. So here you can see we have got the 4 complaint because we are logged in with the admin. So let's try to log in with Adam again. 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. Now I'm logged in with Adam. So I will only able to see the complaints created by me. So this is how rule-based API call we have done. Correct. Now, in case of admin, so employee portal employee part is done. We can create the, what we can say, we can create the complaint and we are able to see the complaints created by me. Whatever the logged in user is there, I can only see the complaints created by him. Let's go to the admin side. So now in admin side, we have this complaint, right? So on click of open, let me just go back again. On click of open, I need to open the complete complaint. So whatever the data is there in the complaint, I need to showcase that in the model pop-up. So we will use the model pop. So let's go to Bootstrap. If you are using material or any another tailwind also, you can use the same. Just a logic you can follow from my video. If you want to use Bootstrap, material, you can use it, or even tailwind also, that is also trending nowadays. Now, so in complaint list, we are going to put this model pop-up. And let's change the complaint details. And whatever the form was there, no? New complaint UI, that we will pick it up. So this whole form we will need in complaint list. In complaint body, we will put it. And complaint object variable also we are going to need. So let's just copy paste. ng model is giving error because we need to import the forms model. Forms. Or instead of, because this is going to be read only, right? So instead of ng model, we will use value only. Square bracket value like this. And let's check if we are getting the proper data. Like complaint status is also we are getting, parent department also we are getting, and child department, parent department name, and where is the department name? Yeah. So everything we are getting. So we don't need that drop down also. So instead of this, we will use the text box only. Because this is just a viewable information, correct? So here you can see parent department name is visible. This we will showcase over here. Then we have where it is department name. That is nothing but the child department. It will go over here. Then complaint title, complaint status. What else is there? Now on this open click, we need to actually open it. So over here, I'm just creating a function click, open model. And for this function, we need to pass this item, whatever the item we have got that we need to pass it. Let's create this function. While calling this function, we are going to get the data. So let's catch that. And that data we are going to assign it. Let's remove this. Properties are something different from the, because whatever we have got on the array, that only we are going to use. So let's keep it as empty. So this dot complaint object is equal to data. And we need to open the model pop-up. So constant model document dot get element ID, the thing which normally we use it to open the model pop-up. What is the model pop-up ID? My model. It will go over here. If model not equal to null, model dot style dot display is equal to block. Just like this function, we will need another function to close the model pop-up also. So that will be, let's say, close. It won't have a parameter. Instead of block, it will be none. And this close model function, we will call it over here also. Click. And at the bottom also. So let's just save all and check if we are properly opening the model pop-up and data is also visible. So if we click on over here, you can see department, lead generation, complaint name, complaint title, whatever the information we have filled while opening. Username we have to show, because here we don't get to see like who has created this. So that is username. So let's show the username also. And everything we can put it as a in a disable mode also. So let's just copy this. Username we will display over here, or let's say created by. Let's make it 4, 4, and 4. Let's save. So you can see it is visible. Aditya, whatever the department, whoever has created this ticket, that is visible, just like this. Correct? On a click of close, we are closing out also. Now the remaining part is department. So department is again a very basic CRUD. So here you can see, I will just explain. I won't be covering that because it's just a normal CRUD operation. So you have to create a form first for parent department. So these are the only two things. Department ID, department, and department logo is optional. You can set it or not, but just the URL you can set, and then that URL you can display it anywhere. Department logo is there. So you will complete the department. Then next component, child department. So in child department, you have to show the drop down of the parent department. So you need in the form, you need to get all the parent department. That department you will show it over here, and the child department. Like that, you will create. The APIs are working. I have tested it. That's why, because you are going to see the data, right? So these are the basic things which we have created. So this comes to an end part. Again, dashboard API is there. Let me show you the dashboard API also. So let's get dashboard API. So here you can see total complaints are 5. New complaints is also 5. Yeah, one more thing I forgot. So in case of admin, we need to change the status also. By default status, we didn't show the status also, right? So for status, I think we should have an API. Get complaint status right out. Yeah, so this is the API which we need to bind, because in admin mode, what he can do, he can just change the status of the complaint. So this is the API which we need to make, which we need to call, because these are the various complaint status we can have. So let's go to service. We have to make the API call to load all the complaint status. get complaint status. It will go over here. And this API call we need to call in get complaint list. Just like this. Get status. Let's create another variable to hold the data. Status list. In this function also, we will call it on the page load. So in NG on init, you can put it like this. So we will have the complaint ready. Now, in the form, we need the form model anyhow, because we are going to need the forms model. So forms model. And over here, we will bind, change it. Let's get that for loop because it's a drop down. So we are going to need this. I'm just copy pasting it. Remaining thing, we will keep it as a disabled status. And here, what we can say in complaint object dot status ID we have to pass. Are we getting the status ID or not? Let's just check that. Complaint status ID. Yeah, it is there. And here we need to bind the status array. What are the field? Master ID over here and master name. What is the status unit? Master name, which you have to print. Remaining thing, we will make it disabled. Read only. Just say if it is getting disabled. So if we open it, what is that which we disabled? So you can see we are getting the statuses, but we need to disable them. So why it didn't get disabled? Let's check. Read only. Read only doesn't work. Or let's try with the why it is saying get child department does not exist. What is it? Get child department. Okay, here we don't need this. We actually copy pasted this. That's why it was there. Yeah, we are not able to edit it. So you can see I'm typing, but it's disabled, but it just doesn't have that what we can say gray color. So let's see if we are adding some class. With disable also, we are not having any class. But you can just create a component. You can just create a CSS which will add some background color if it is disabled. See, right now it is disabled. I'm not able to enter something. Here I'm able to something, but here I'm not able to do something. So you just need to make all the form disabled. Then on click of just like this close button, we will have one more change status. We need to call the API update API only. Change status, update, complaint. So let's create this function. Whatever the object we have that we need to send it in the update call. In the master service also, we need to create the update call. Just like create new template, we will have update. Instead of create, let's add it update. Let's check the API call also for update. So update complaint. API is post only. I should have kept keep it as a put, but I somehow put keep that as a post, but it should be put also. Doesn't matter, right? So update complaint is the method name. Update complaint, and this API call we need to make it. Just copy copy this. Update complaint, and what we need to send the object this dot complaint object. And once we do that, again we need to call the API call. So this will be this we have to put it over here because again based on the rule only we have to make the API call to get updated data. So let's just check if we are able to update it. So first complaint. So by default it is new. Now if I change it to on hold, and if we click on change status. So here in the object, let's check the complaint status ID. 5 is there. Continue. Let's refresh and let's check it again. Yeah, so here you can see complaint status has been checked. So just while you work now, just create a class which will add a background if background color as gray, or instead of text box, you can just normally display the information also. That will also work. Just keep this as editable because in admin side, we are just going to change the complaint status. And the complaint status you can show in the card also, so that in the card also you will be able to see the what type of complaint it is. So now the only part is remaining like department. So as I explained, department is just a normal CRUD operation. You can create two components. One is for the parent department, one is for the child department, and you can come. And the one more part will be remaining is the dashboard. So dashboard is like this. Let me just show you once again. So if logged in user is admin, so you have to call this API. Okay. But if logged in user is admin, if normal user, you have to call this API and you have to pass the user ID also. Whatever the user ID you pass, you will get the complaint status of that particular logged in user ID. So if you need to get the UI design, so simply search dashboard, HTML, CSS, and CodePen. You will find plenty of example. Let's just try one more thing. Not dashboard, let's say dashboard widgets. Just the boxes we get, and in that we can show the count, statistical kind of data, like this is what I'm trying. Right, so here you will be saying total complaint, total on status, whatever we have, correct? So just like that, you can copy anything, and whatever the simplest is there, you can just call the API on the dashboard component and you can show this information over here. So that's it with the current video. Again, if you know some of these machine tests like this, like some of the subscriber are sending me this kind of machine test, I'm creating the API like that, and I'm creating it. So if you have some machine test like this, which you are not able to complete it, just provide it to me. I will try to create the API and I will create a video for the same also. So that's it. If you are new, please do like and subscribe. Thank you guys.